is set to soon launch the Zimbabwe National Industrial Development Policy 2019-2023. This policy is a blueprint for industrialization which derives its soul from the vision to transform Zimbabwe into an upper middle income country by 2030. The policy is aligned to the TSP, which prioritizes the stimulation of economic growth and creation of employment, among others. This policy will be launched together with the local content policy, as we believe it is a key enabler in facilitating the attainment of the Zimbabwe National Industrialization Development Policy goals. Furthermore, the introduction of an interbank foreign exchange market, as announced by the Governor of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe in February, is envisaged to go a long way in assisting the country to achieve our industrial agenda, mainly through anticipated improved competitiveness and efficient allocation of foreign currency for critical raw materials and retooling. Honorable Vice President said, our speakers today are uniquely placed to articulate and debate key issues that will further stimulate the economy, as well as to highlight emerging trends and current practices in businesses, opportunities and challenges we face as an economy, and more importantly, interventions necessary to emerge much stronger. I have no doubt that all the sessions will be robust and highly interactive, with possible outcomes that will assist policy making.
We should ride on our national comparative advantages to transform our country into an upper middle income economy by 2030. As a first step in this journey, we should be confident and proud of our own abilities. This requires a mindset shift from our prevailing penchant as individuals and collectively as a nation for foreign goods and services. On its part, through the Transitional Stabilization Program 2018-2020, the government is implementing critical structural reforms necessary for economic turnaround and takeoff. Some of the reforms will no doubt be painful, but are unavoidable because without them, our economic fortunes can only become worse. Successful turnaround to improve the living standards of our people requires that we remove existing market distortions which undermine consumer welfare through rampant arbitrage. Our propensity to make super profits quickly should give way to hard work, discipline, patience, and endurance. These are the values which will make the middle-income economy by 2030, which we all cherish, a reality. Through the Ministry of Industry and Commerce, the government will soon launch the Zimbabwe National Industrial Development Policy 2019 to 2023 as a successor to the Industrial Development Policy 2012 to 2016. The Zimbabwe National Industrial Development Policy is guided by the Transitional Stabilization Program Vision 2030. The SADC Industrialization Strategy and the African Union Agenda 2063. It seeks export-led revival of manufacturing predicated on the recovery of international competitiveness of domestic production in the shortest possible time. I am reliably informed that the private sector was fully consulted through its business member organizations in the process of crafting the policy. It is therefore the expectation of government that business and labor will embrace the policy as their own and thus assure its successful implementation. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as you may be aware, the country's manufacturing sector has been underperforming over the last 2 decades because of myriads of challenges. These range from lack of access to affordable lines of credit, use of antiquated equipment, and outdated technology. We would want to make this warning today. Those who are doing this exercise, you already know. And if one tries to fight and practice financial terrorism on Zimbabwe, we will react appropriately. And no one should cry that he has not been treated fairly. We have given, last year you wrote to me in November that you wanted this interbank. And in December last year, I met the business in Rainbow Towers together with the Minister of Finance, and we said, but why ambushing us? We thought we were going to come and then explain, but nevertheless, we were quick enough, and by February we were granted. But now, it has gone upside down. Others coming to say, we will make sure this will work, will not work. No, it will work, you will not work. Simple. Let's, those who have been practicing this, what I can say is, if you are a Zimbabwean, return that money quickly back so that we can treat you with some kidney gloves. But if you want hard gloves, we know how to do it. The parallel market continues to overshadow the formal market because there are buyers and sellers who are willing to participate in these activities. As responsible and patriotic citizens, we should, however, ask ourselves whether our actions are in the best long-term interests or the nation as a whole, as we partake in parallel market activities. The recent and continuing spate of increases in the prices of basic commodities cannot be explained by objective cost push factors, but driven by speculation originating from the parallel market. We can't do that. You raise the parallel market by 1 digit, then every other commodity must be raised. What kind of economics is that? We have all been to the same school, is it? There's nothing like that. Let's behave in a way that will see us building the country, Zimbabwe, the country we all want. The rising inflation, which we are now experiencing, hits the whole economy and its development prospects, negatively affecting all of us. It is not time we engage and honestly, is it not time we engage and honestly discuss why as a nation we continue to experience foreign currency shortages, yet our foreign currency earnings exceed those of our comparator countries who are not experiencing the same phenomenon. As government, we are committed to continue engaging to find lasting solutions to the challenges we face. But we also want your contributions and your effort to this, to what government will be trying to achieve. Countries around us, some have foreign currency, almost a third of what we have, but they never cry foul that they don't have foreign currency. But here, I don't know what happens. But I think now we will then take very strict measures, is it? We all agree, is it? Do we agree? Huh? You know each other. So, let's proceed that way.
Austerity for 3 years, it's a bad idea. 1 year, get it right and move on. So that's my aim, at least that's my thinking about this. Next slide, please. Now, so where does this scoreboard, what does the scoreboard look like? Colleagues, we're doing very well on the fiscal front. The government is solvent. Honorable VP, your government is solvent. We are running surpluses, and we've been doing an average surplus of $100 million a month since September last year, since we came in. This year alone, I'll tell you the figures, in January we had a surplus of $102 million. In February we had a surplus of $85.5 million. We had to take care of these the cushioning of civil servants, 63 million. So we pushed down our surplus a little bit, but surplus nonetheless. In March, our surplus will be double that. It will be just above 200 million. And we know that there are pressures, so it's important to have something at the back of our pocket. So the government finances are sound. Money supply is not growing. So where is the pressure on the exchange rate coming from? Before we knew that it came from the fiscus. Right? It came from the fiscus. We're monetizing the fiscal deficit, and then money supply was growing. The government had no choice. Money supply was growing because the fiscus was growing. But where is the pressure coming from? So clearly, as VP said, it is speculation, and that speculation is not a good idea. We know who's driving it in the parliament. You ask for an interbank market, we gave you that. Please make use of it. Our job as government is to make sure that our fundamentals, the fundamentals that determine the value of a currency, stay strong. We are not careless in terms of how we spend. We make sure that the value of the currency is preserved, and we would like you to do the same and meet us halfway. But above all, make use of that interbank market. We created it for you. Now, but how have we achieved the fiscal discipline without explaining all the detail is by expenditure containment, whether looking at the wage bill, the government waste, and so forth. I know I've become very unpopular with my friends, members of parliament, and also my friends, ministers, for delaying the acquisition of their vehicles, but I will sort that out soon. So as I said earlier, we had to meet the people of Zimbabwe halfway by showing that we can practice austerity ourselves, lead from the front. And I must thank the Honorable Vice President when he agreed that we cut the salaries of senior civil servants by 5% when we presented the budget. Without his support, we would not have done that, but he understood that that's what it takes to signal austerity and no less. And I thank everyone for that. So the other one is obviously on revenue mobilization. Everyone is paying their 2% tax. Thank you very much. Appreciate your patience with that. It has also enabled us to really deal with some of the social pressures that we face. Now we've got the cyclone shock, which I've got a slide on that. We're dealing with the El Nino impact. Agriculture has been doing so well. We had 500,000 metric tons, which Comrade Shiri made sure that we're able to place with GMB. But this year we're facing the El Nino. So we have all these shocks, and we need these resources to deal with these shocks. But above all, support the social sector to make sure that we build the right social protection, whether it's food, whether it's cash transfers, or whatever, as we go through the reform agenda. So these resources have come in very handy, and I thank you and all the Zimbabweans for making sure that we pay your taxes. Working on a plan for that, but that plan also involves us taking on a staff monitoring program. This is already in the media, so I can say, which we've done, so things went very well in Washington. Well, we know the roadmap towards that, and we'll work our way through it. Then eventually we'll clear our areas. I'm determined that we do so that you can access your credit lines. But also in the interim, we're not just waiting for this to happen. We're doing other things. We're also raising other, looking at other credit lines through South Africa, through all manner of structures that we're working on, through China. And this morning, in fact, last night at 11 p.m., I was working on a structure for raising money from the UK for the agricultural sector. So we are working very hard to make sure there is enough resources for you in the private sector to grow and create jobs. Let me press on and say a few things about some of the sectors. Before that, the Honorable VP already mentioned the idea of strengthening our private sector-led economy by partially privatizing some of the parastatals, restructuring some of them, strengthening the leadership, governance. We are doing that. In fact, we've moved with speed. ZESA rebundling, and then IDC turning it into a fully fledged development finance institution. We've allocated 30 million for a development fund with which they'll manage. And then if you look at what we're doing with Allied Timbers, which controls 60% of the country's forests, we're making sure that these quarters we've not been helpful. We've been chopping down trees and using the trees for firewood. Stop doing that. At least we give them other options. And also Makorokoza in the same area, so that they can reclaim that asset and strengthen their governance, put in a new board, and move to the next level. The splitting of GMB into a strategic grain reserve, as well as the commercial silo food industries, which has already been launched, and you hear more about it in the market. That's also going ahead, and they're finalizing investors at the moment to get into the market. And then eventually, we'll look at POSB. In fact, we're already looking into POSB, we're making progress. And Tel One and Net One, offering them as a rebundled entity, because they are joined at the hip. One is the strength in terms of Tel One, in terms of the fiber optic cable, and then Net One in mobile telephony and financial services. So together, they're joined at the hip. We believe that is a combined offering. That should be an attractive offering to any investor, either domestic or foreign.